Well, James, a big thank you for joining us, and superb stuff last weekend. Back-to-back wins now in the Betfred Championship as we head towards the finale of the season. What's the mood in camp like at the moment after the Dewsbury win?
Yeah, I think fairly positive. I think we can see that we've come through a fairly difficult patch, and we're probably not hit the standards. We didn't hit the standards that we're after, and that can happen in a season. But we've had a good look at all areas of our performance, and I can see and they can see a side that's improving. Boosted by some individuals coming into the club and some individuals coming back from injury or suspension, and excited for the rest of the season.
Should we talk about one of those players, because he seems to have made a lot of waves in his opening match, wearing a York City Knights jumper, and that's Hingano. I mean, what do you make of his performance early doors?
I thought it was really impressive. Obviously, he started on the bench and he hasn't played, I think, in 4 or 5 weeks. So we didn't want to risk him picking up a knock, and we wanted probably to get 30, 35 minutes into him. And when he came on, he just fit in really well. He took some really good big falls on and looked hard to handle across the back rower, inside the back rower, and in my opinion, he looks like he could be that next bit for us in terms of unlocking defences when on occasions this year they've been able to withstand us.
And with regards to that win over Dewsbury, I mean that sets up. I think you only need one more win, don't you, to secure a playoff spot, which is fantastic. But when we go back to that patch in July, where you basically had to play every single team who was in and around the playoffs, I mean, what does that tell us about the calibre of the competition that month of July you had, and the opponents you're likely to face in the playoffs?
I think it's a fantastic competition. Obviously, there's a number of really eye-catching players in there. You mentioned Atta, but there's every team's got plenty of players of that level, and coaches just our household names. So the championship's spoiled really in terms of the quality in there. And I think what that month shows you is if you're off your game in a couple of areas or even one area when it comes to the playoffs, then you're going to struggle. So we need to make sure we time it right, get everybody ready, physically, everybody ready mentally, and make sure that we're all on the same page, pulling in the same direction come those playoffs.
And how tricky was that period? Because it was like I say, it was just one tough game after another, and the pressure was on, really, wasn't it? So, when you get to the Newcastle game, I mean, was the pressure on, or did you know it would click back into gear at some point?
I think a couple of times I've spoken about judging a team over the full season, 27 rounds, and you just about play everybody twice. Obviously, there's the summer bash to factor in, and there's going to be times in that season where you're missing your key players for injury or suspension, and in rugby league, and certainly most teams in the championship, if you're missing one or two of those key players of your better players, you don't have the same calibre of player to bring in. You have players who have potential to get to that level, and they need those opportunities to eventually get to that level and beyond. But you don't necessarily have a like-for-like swap for a Matty Marsh or a Paulie. And that's the same across the league. And it just coincided that we were playing what I would say the best teams in the comp, and we had I didn't have heaps missing, but we had one or two really keen senior players unavailable to us, and it showed. But what I did see, I saw Miles Harrison, AJ Towse, Brad Ward. They showed promise. Tommy Inman. They showed a lot of promise, and I'm really excited about those 18 and 19-year-olds, because I certainly couldn't have played against a Halifax or a Featherstone or a Batley at 18, 19. And we shouldn't judge players by my levels, that's for sure. But I'm really excited at the levels that they're currently at and where they could end up being at.
So it's Bradford next on Monday, live on Premier Sports. I mean, what's your thoughts on this game this weekend?
Well, it's a York Bradford game, isn't it? And I think the rivalry between the clubs emerged 2018, I believe, in League One, and it's just grown since then. And I think it's been great for both clubs. I think both sets of supporters look forward to the game. There's there's lots of respect between the clubs, the players, the staffs. But both teams want to win. We were hurting in 2021 when Bradford did us twice. They won't want us to do them twice, but we're pretty desperate to nail our playoff spot and get that 2-0 win over Bradford.
And what's your target now for the remainder of the season? Because one game at a time and all that, but one win and you're in the playoff spot. I suppose you want to get as high as you can in the league tables, but it's a tough August coming up, isn't it? And early September.
Yeah, well, they're all tough fixtures. In terms of the target, we just focus on Bradford, mate. We're just trying to get this win, and then beyond that, our mantra all season's been we want our best players and best combinations and available for the playoffs. I think in 2019, I'll use Graham Horn as an example. We didn't score many points when he wasn't on the field, and people who played against us will know exactly how truthful that is. And at times in the season, I left him on for 60, 70 minutes, and come playoffs, his legs had gone out, we'll say, and a big mistake that. So we've learned from that, and we're trying to keep people fresh and ready to go for the playoffs. And
just a final thought, James. We'll obviously catch up if you do make the playoffs. That is towards the end of the season. But we've been catching up for many seasons now. Back when York were in League One, and here we are, steady progress year on year, and it looks like our playoff berth at the end of this season. I mean, it's going well, isn't it, as a club?
First, I'd say you've not aged a day, mate.
I have. I really have.
I don't know if you could say the same about me. I feel 20 years older. Yeah, listen, I'm really proud of the trajectory the club's on and the progress we've made. Joe, if we're good enough to nail this playoff spot, we've made the playoffs now twice out of 3 seasons in the Championship. I think if you spoke to York fans 5-6 years ago, with some of the seasons that they had in the Championship, I think they were one where they won one game. I think the best effort they produced were 5 wins in the Championship. I think they've been really excited by that prospect. But the best thing for me is that I think there's so much more potential in the city. Obviously, the stadium, the training facilities, for me, they're Super League standard. And we just need to keep improving on the field. Obviously, there's a big step between where we are now and where we feel we can get to, and you're not going to take that step in one go. We're just going to keep inching towards the club's potential, and that's something that really excites me and something I'm really looking forward to doing.
Well, James Ford, head coach at the York City Knights, a big thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us this week, and all the best on Monday.
Thank you very much. Cheers.